Hey everybody, and welcome to Screen Weens. My name is London, and on this channel we just kind of talk about whatever we want, and today I'm going to do another board game video. This is going to be a kind of buying guide or a where to start guide on playing the game Unmatched, which is an asymmetric kind of fighter game where you're playing you have a little miniature and maybe some sidekicks, heroes from myth and legend, and also different random IPs, going head to head against 1 to 3 different friends and just trying to come out on top. It's based around the old Star Wars Epic Duels system from the mid-2000s, and Restoration Games takes old game systems and, as their namesake describes, restores them and brings them into the modern era. This game is awesome. I have all the boxes that are out for it, which goes up to Houdini versus the Genie at this point. However, there are 2 more Marvel sets coming out. I believe the retail launch is the beginning of next month, which is going to be Unmatched Teen Spirit and Unmatched for King and Country. So it won't be including that, but it's it's a big game. There's a lot to it, and I don't think there's a lot of terrible places to start, but I do think there are better places to start than others. I guess I will start the video by saying what you should not buy first, which are the 1-person packs. There are 2 of these. They did Bruce Lee and they did Deadpool. They've also said in the past that they're probably not going to be doing those again, which I think is a good thing. You can't play them out of the box. Having just one hero is kind of a bigger price point than usual. I think these were like $20 on launch. Also, these 2 are out of print, and the Bruce Lee one is pretty expensive right now. And while I think both these characters are fun to play, obviously not a good place to start because you want to be able to play the game. And then from here on out, it just kind of depends on what you think you'll be playing the most at what player count. The game plays from 2 to 4. I tend to play it more at 2, but I like it at all player counts. So when you're looking at 2-player boxes, I believe there are 5 of them out currently. The newest one, Houdini versus the Genie, is the box set that I have the least experience with. I played the characters, I think, both at this point 2 or 3 times, and they're both very fun. They did do a thing in this one, and I think that's what they're doing moving forward, if I remember correctly. Let's double check. Yes, so back when Unmatched started, they had double-sided boards, and there would be 2 separate boards on each side, so 2 separate places to fight. However, they are going more for quality over quantity as of recent sets, and they are only now printing 1 map, double-sided with different cosmetic changes to make it easier to read, which I respect, but it does make it so these are box sets that you should buy later on because it is better to have more variety when you are starting out. So that's why I'm thinking, even if you're playing with 2 people, I do think that the 4-person box sets are the best way to go. But before we get into those, let's go over the 2-player guides. I think Houdini versus Genie is great. They're both great to play. However, I do think the complexity level of them is a little bit higher than maybe some of the people that are just starting out with the game are anticipating, because the game is a pretty simple game, but both of those characters have just a tad more complexity than some of the other ones. I would say the same thing about Little Red versus Beowulf. Beowulf, I think, is pretty easy to play. I think Little Red is one of the more complex characters to play in the game. She's also one of my favorite characters to play. I think she's great. I also really like the maps on this one. So I would say this one is definitely one to look out for, but also that complexity. One that I think is actually probably maybe the best 2-person one to get right off the bat is going to be Robin Hood versus Bigfoot. Both the characters are very fun to play. The map's fun, and they feel very different as characters. I think Unmatched does a good job of making all the characters in the game feel different from each other. But Robin Hood versus Bigfoot are on complete separate ends of the spectrum, so you get a really good feel on how the game plays overall. So I think 2-player sets, Robin Hood versus Bigfoot's probably going to be your best one. Then followed by It's got to be Engine versus Raptors. Raptors are so much fun to play. Robert Muldoon and the Engine Workers are a blast. He's really good. I think both of those characters sets are really good though. And that map's good. That one's probably, if you're going to get a 2-player set, I'd get the first Jurassic Park set, or I'd get the Robin Hood versus Bigfoot set to start you off. The newer Jurassic Park set that finally came out, Dr. Sattler versus the T-Rex, is great. I really like Sattler. I don't think I've really had the chance to play as the T-Rex. I played against the T-Rex quite a bit, and she's pretty fun to play against. I don't know how I'd feel about her playing as her. But yeah, for 2-player ones, you can't really go wrong. I think all the 2-player sets are very good. But you don't get as much bang for your buck. So just something to keep in mind. So with the Marvel sets, Unmatched wanted to make 3-player more of a viable option. So they designed their maps more surrounding kind of that aspect. And also the box sets that they're releasing only come with 3 figures. So even though the maps are playable at 4, the boxes are only playable at 3 until you buy another one. So the 3-player boxes are going to be the next ones, on like viability on buying a first to start you off with, because they're fun to play. But if you want to play 4 players, you need another box. So there's 2 that are out right now. There's Hell's Kitchen, which has Bullseye, Elektra, and Daredevil. And there's Redemption Row, which has Luke Cage, Ghost Rider, and Moon Knight. I think out of these 2, I probably prefer Redemption Row. I'm a big fan of how Moon Knight and Ghost Rider play, and Luke Cage is just kind of fun because he doesn't take any damage. Hell's Kitchen is also very good. I want to play a little more with Elektra. I don't think I've gotten quite enough experience with her that I want. But Daredevil and Bullseye are both a blast to play. And there's another thing where only 1 battlefield, which is a little disappointing. And like I said, you can't play it 4 right out of the box. But both are still worth your time. I think both are great sets. Usually when IPs are just thrown at things, I'm a little nervous. But Unmatched has done a good job of making them feel welcome into the world of Unmatched, which is not something I can say for everything that the Marvel IP is thrown at. And finally, we're going to get into the 4-person boxes. I think there's 4. That looks right. Maybe I'm missing one. I don't think I'm missing one. Hopefully not. So the first one that brought it all off was Unmatched Battle of Legends Volume 1, which is still one of the best ways to play the game. It comes with 2 battlefields. It comes with Sinbad, King Arthur, Medusa, and Alice. I think all the characters are very fun to play. I do think the power level, just because they started off, is a little wonky. I think Medusa is still maybe the second, third best character in the entire game, in my opinion. I think Sinbad's really good. I think Alice can be good in situations. King Arthur's pretty weak. He's fun to play, and I play the game at a pretty casual level. There is a competitive scene for Unmatched. Not really my interest when I play a board game, but as a casual player, I think all of these are fun characters to play. I think both the battlefields are great, and visually appetizing, which is nice, because a lot of them, I was afraid with Unmatched as it would go on that a lot of the maps would just look like blobs with big circles on it that you move around, but they're legitimately fun. Like, they're fun looking maps. I don't think this is the one I'd recommend. I sell this game. I work at a board game shop and I sell this game every day. So this isn't usually the one I recommend the most to start with people, but it is absolutely a great option. Out of the 4 boxes, the one I would recommend the least to start you off with is, if you know Unmatched, you are aware that Buffy the Vampire Slayer, this set is like panned. I don't mind it. I do think the characters all kind of are really low tier when talking about like power level and sometimes even funness. It just doesn't feel like this one was tested enough. I do really like the maps on this one, and I do like the gameplay on like Spike. I just feel like I'm always losing. So yeah, don't probably don't get that one. If, however, you are like a huge Buffy fan or you're buying this for someone that's a huge Buffy fan and you want to get them into the game as a whole, that's still a good option. So there are definitely caveats to try to get someone into the game that way. Now the two best sets, the two best sets in general are also the two best sets to start off with. And I'm trying to figure out which one's better. But that would be Cobble and Fog, which is like English literature based, which is sick as hell. And Battle of Legends Volume 2, which has Sun Wukong, who is one of my favorite characters from literature. So, yeah. I think I'll probably give it to Cobble and Fog because, like I said, Volume 2 still has that one battlefield. So while I think all four characters in that, I think it's Achilles, Bloody Mary, Yanenga, and Sun Wukong, they're all fantastic. I love them. I love to play with all of them. You have that little less, you only have one battlefield, so there's a little less randomness you can add to the game. Less moving pieces to keep it refreshing, while Cobble and Fog does have those two battlefields, and it has Dracula, Invisible Man, Sherlock Holmes, and Jekyll and Hyde, who are all super fun to play. I think on a power level, Sherlock Holmes is one of the best. Invisible Man and Jekyll and Hyde are always ones that I really want to work. I usually end up losing with them, but they're really fun to play. Dracula, I'm not like a huge fan of playing, but he's still fun. So I think at the end of the day, Cobble and Fog is going to be the one you want to start off with, but pretty much any of those four-person sets will get you where you want to go. Especially if you want to be like learning the game and adding to your collection. This is one of those games that I buy everything for just because I really like that system in place. The same goes for Dice Throne, which is another game that there's just a million sets for. But Unmatched is really awesome. And if you haven't played it, it's relatively cheap to get into. I think most of those boxes are between $40 and $50 for the four-person boxes. So lower than like the most common of the big board games nowadays. And it's not super cheap to get all of it, which I have, but it is worth it. I think the game's awesome. I love to play it, and I love thinking about it, too. It's like, ooh, maybe I should play as this character next. Or I wonder if this character would go well against this character. Anyway, just my quick thoughts on how to get into Unmatched. If you liked the video, I would really appreciate it if you subscribed or liked or commented or sent me an email or called me on the phone or told your grandma. Anyway, thanks for watching. I'm London. Signing out. Woohoo!